Welcome back. I'm Jay Fidel. Here we are at the 4 o'clock Rock on Wednesday, our flagship show, Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. Joining me at the far side is my co-host, Ray Starling. Say hi, Ray.
Hi, Ray.
I knew he'd say that.
I knew he'd say that.
And in the middle, we got Ted Peck, old friend Ted Peck, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Holu Energy, which stands for resilience, right?
Yeah.
Welcome, Ted. Nice to see your smiling face. Yeah. You have to come around here and spend more time. We'll show you the secrets of the universe here on Think Tech.
I can tell. I can tell. Ray was just telling me you can suspend time here, so I've got to come back and understand how that works.
Ray showed us how to do that. And then by Skype, we have Lisa Laughner. She's the president and CEO of Go Electric. Hi, Lisa.
How you doing, Jay?
And we have Mark Stout, vice president of project development at Amber Kinetics, Inc. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here, Jay.
Just for curiosity, where are you guys anyway?
I'm in Anderson, Indiana. That's where the Go Electric headquarters are.
Of course. And Mark?
We're in the San Francisco Bay Area, in the East Bay.
Okay, wonderful. City. So glad you could join us. And today, the long title for our show, which is part of the Distributed Energy Resource Series, we've had 3 or 4 shows already on that subject, is microgrids. How do they work? What role will they play in Hawaii's clean energy development? And the short title is Microgrids. How big are they, really? So, Ted, I've been meaning to ask you this question for a long time. Ready?
Okay.
What is a microgrid?
Great question. I prepared for that question. I went and reviewed a lot of the national definitions, and simply put, the key to a microgrid, many people, either on their commercial facilities or in their home, they have the ability to generate electricity and they're tied to the grid. That is not adequate to call it a microgrid. But if within a property, you have the ability to generate and to dispatch energy with load, all within a construct in your home or a facility, that by definition is a microgrid. So storage with PV, or even having a diesel generator on your property with load, that is by definition a microgrid. Okay,
now does a microgrid have to be attached to the utility, or is a microgrid something that could be attached or not attached?
It could be either.
Okay. And Lisa, let me ask you a question. How do I make one? How do I make a microgrid?
Sure, we actually built one with a lot of help at Camp Smith. We put together some diesel generators, some battery energy storage, a lot of complex control systems, tied them all together with a bunch of electrical wires, and off you go. You have a microgrid.
Okay, and you can do that for me too? It's not
I can, but you probably need 4 diesel generators.
Okay, and Mark, for you, why would I want a microgrid instead of a regular grid, okay?
Well, I think for a lot of customers, resilience is a high priority. So, particularly military bases, if the utility power goes down, they can't afford to have their buildings without power. And so, rather than having a diesel generator per building, you can build a larger microgrid and build in resilience that can take advantage of renewable energy coming in every day, storage to smooth it out, and potentially integrate that with diesel generators as well, but have a much more capable system.
Well, it sounds like we learned about this from dealing with the military, because they want to have their own, they want to be independent in their own way. They need to be independent. But the question is, outside the military, Ted, in the ordinary world,
right,
the civilian world, if you will,
right.
What are the prospects for a microgrid there?
Well, actually, I'll come back to that. But what I like to say, you said this is really kind of a new thing, but really it's a back to the future thing, because when you go back to Edison and what he was doing, what he began with was really microgrids. In fact, his secretary, Samuel Insull, moved to Chicago, and he, in essence, bought up all the microgrids being building owners that were doing manufacturing would run a generator in their building to power their building. And right around 1900, that was the vast majority of how people got power. But what he did, the proposition that he made, is that I can deliver power cheaper if I string these together and I build bigger generators. The technology, as they were sizing up in generators, their cost per kW and the cost of delivered kilowatt hour went down.
But that may not be true anymore.
Technology has changed that
everything.
equation. That's right. And so Holu is commissioning 2 microgrids here in Hawaii here in the next month or so. One in Salt Lake by the airport and one in Kona, where we have storage and generation all on a customer site behind the meter.
How does the utility feel about that?
They're very open to it because what that gives them is resources that they can tap into for grid stability. So microgrids actually are very attractive from a utility and a grid stability standpoint. So really, you can do an off-grid microgrid, and sometimes you have to because the cost of transmission to that particular site is just prohibitive. And sometimes, certainly in a military application, you want kind of a belts and suspenders approach to resilience. There are a lot of buildings that want to have at least 2, maybe 3 power supplies because of the important activities that go on there. But on the grid, having storage and having inverters and power electronics that are capable of delivering fast frequency response, solar curtailment, demand response, those kinds of services, the utility has submitted to the PUC an application saying that, hey, these are the kinds of things that we want to procure from the grid, from distributed resources. And so really it is really moving us towards a future where rather than a central station and hub and spoke kind of model, we really have a hybrid of a central station and distributed resources that create the kind of resilient, powerful, stable grid that benefits everybody.
Yeah, so when I say microgrids, how big are they? Your vote would be, oh, they're big.
I think they're a big deal.
Micro is big. Okay, Ray, can you summarize so far? I'm going to take a break, but before we do that, I want to sort of take stock, okay? What have we learned so far?
Okay, well, microgrids are not new. They've been with us before, and they're coming back. And one of the questions I've got for all of our guests is to ask, what is the economic case for microgrids now when we come back?
Okay.
So that's the question.
Okay, what is the case? What is the economic case for microgrids now here on Hawaii, the state of clean energy? And if you want to know the answer, you'll have to wait 1 minute. We'll be right back.
Aloha! I'm Chantal Seville, host of the Savvy Chick Show on Think Tech Hawaii, and I'm going on tour. I'm taking you around the world. We're going to Canada, and then we're going to, we're in America, then we're going to San Francisco. So keep staying tuned, 11 a.m. every Wednesday on the Savvy Chick Show. We'll see you next time.
Aloha. I'm State Senator Russell Ruderman. I represent the Puna and Kau District on the Big Island, and the host of Ruderman Roundtable. We're here on Think Tech Hawaii every other Tuesday at 2 p.m. You can join us at thinktechhawaii.com. You can find a link there to a page where you can see past episodes. And we talk here about good government, environmental issues, and issues of the day facing the state of Hawaii. I'm Russell Ruderman. Please join us for the Ruderman Roundtable. Mahalo.
We're back, we're live, we're here in Hawaii, as you know, the state of clean energy, talking about microgrids. Just how big are they? With my co-host Ray Starling, and let's see who else we got. We got Ted Peck, and we got Lisa Laughner, we got Mark Stout, and in the wings, we have Leslie Cole Brooks watching, waving, and Sharon Moriwaki. Whoa! Okay. Okay, Ray, you want to ask a question. Now say who you want to answer the question.
Okay, let's let Lisa, because she has an operational microgrid right now, is what I understand. But what is the economic case for this happening now as opposed to at some later time?
Sure, and the economic case actually varies by what the customer needs are. So the DoD's economic case is all about energy security, And what that delivers for them is operational readiness. So you want Pacific Command to be 100% operational ready no matter what's going on with the grid. So having a microgrid in place ensures that energy security. So no matter what happens with the grid, they always have power coming to the base. It's not going to affect their operational readiness, so they're good to go 24/7 no matter what's going on around them.
Which is the primary, which is the backup?
The grid's the primary, and then if the grid goes out or if there is any security concerns going on with the electrical grid, literally the base can call a spiders event and take the whole grid off the base, or take the whole base off the grid.
And which is more economic, the primary or the secondary?
There is a benefits case for the microgrid that I think on a cost per kilowatt basis is better than the current pricing in Hawaii, only because the microgrid optimizes the use of the generators. So you don't, in typical bases, you have one generator per building that's operating usually at a kind of a part power, burning a lot of fuel, because that's all the load that the building is providing. But when you tie everything into a microgrid, you only operate the number of generators that you need to make the base work. So you end up saving a lot of fuel costs because you don't need to operate all the generators at once.
Mm-hmm. So Mark, I've been meaning to ask you this question. How much of what Lisa said do you agree with?
I agree with everything Lisa said. She's really a microgrid expert.
So what is the economic case as far as you're concerned, and how are you involved in it?
Well, okay, great. So two parts to the question. I think the question has to be asked, what's the cost of not having operational readiness? If there's a blackout, what is the cost to national security of having Pacific Command go dark? I hate to think about it, but if the cost per hour of power interruption is a very high number if you could monetize it or estimate it. And then our role at Amber Kinetics is we're a cost-effective, multi-hour duration flywheel manufacturer and project developer. So we have the only 4-hour duration flywheel in the world. We can store up at a rated capacity, get to 100% full battery, as you would call in the chemical battery world, and then discharge for a full 4 hours at the rated capacity. And we're a long-term asset.
How big is that? How big is that flywheel?
So our current unit, which we call the Model 32 for 32 kilowatt hours, is roughly 4.5 feet in diameter and about 3.5 feet high, including its feet and housing and everything.
Wow.
What's the RPM on it?
Fast.
I can't give you exact numbers because that's part of our trade secrets, but it's in the thousands of I'll say it's in the single digits of RPMs between kind of our 0% state of charge, our empty battery, and fully charged, 100% state of charge.
Interesting.
Wow.
So flywheels are still, flywheels are there. They're happening. I guess you've made the choice that flywheels are better than batteries, eh?
We were awarded the largest energy storage contract in California last year. It's an 80 megawatt hour project with PG&E. So, we're pretty bullish on our technology.
Okay, well, let me ask this. Lisa, how much of what Mark said do you agree with?
Oh, I agree with what Mark's saying. Our battery energy storage and our devices are chemical batteries, but we're very aware of flywheel technology and fascinated with Amber Kinetics' ability to store for 4 hours. That's quite an accomplishment in the flywheel world. So it's a great alternative and probably a lesser cost alternative to battery energy storage, which currently, unfortunately, is pretty expensive.
Interesting. Okay, Ted, how do you compare with these guys?
Well, we're not, we're kind of storage agnostic. I'm going to have a conversation with Mark because, we look for opportunities. 32 kilowatt hours is a good asset, and that footprint's pretty good. So we just want to know cost. and I won't put them on the spot and ask them that now, but, you know, one of the things that, that we've come to the conclusion of is that there's not a perfect battery for all applications. So the thing that you need to do, and why microgrids are a little harder, you know, it used to be in the distributed generation world, the solar world, that you get a utility bill, you say, hey, you need this number of kilowatt hours over the course of the year. I'm going to build you a system that's going to be net metered, but it will produce that number of kilowatt hours over the course of the year. It's very, I'll say stupid simple. It was just very easy. Now, in order to understand your client, you have to understand the loads that are on there. You have to understand what kind of transients are there. You have to understand their load profile. When we do a microgrid, we will model 20 years in 15-minute increments of both load and generation and efficiencies and the round trip for the different kinds of storage. And so we will basically know what it's going to cost for us to deliver 20 years of energy in 15-minute increments.
That's a lot of increments.
It's a lot of increments. It's about 700,000.
So let's go to the operative question. I guess I'd like to start with you, Mark. How big can microgrids be? Your 4x3 flyover would have to be a lot bigger if you wanted to cover a wider area and more kilowatts and so forth. How big can they be before, you know, there are natural limitations to their size and efficiency?
I don't know if there really are any limits to growth. Think of our modern grid kind of grew out of those turn of the century, 1900 industrial, building by building microgrids, and we really our current interconnected grid is just a grid of grids. So when I think about a microgrid, and also just scaling of storage or scaling of renewable resources, like for instance photovoltaics or wind turbines or diesel generators, all of those they're modular and they can scale up to gigawatts. So
let me ask you this, Lisa, do you see microgrids as the trend in the future? I mean, I know you like to, but do you in fact see this as something that's going to sweep the country and the world, in contrast to how utility grids work now?
Oh, I do, because you can put a microgrid right at the single building level. So, early in the conversation, we were talking about how, a building that has solar and then adds battery energy storage, you just turn that building into a microgrid. So the building's loads and two distributed energy resources, solar and the battery, now are forming a grid or microgrid, which can stay connected to the utility, or if the utility goes out, can island from the utility and serve all those loads. So utilities that we're working with both in Hawaii and New York, we just talked with another one today that's throughout the Midwest. Everyone likes the idea of distributed energy at the fringes of the grid, and all of those installations are pretty much at the customer side of the meter, building scale level.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it expands because of the technology and because you have control, using the technology to control what's going on. What do you think, Ted, is the future of microgrids in Hawaii?
I think the future is, I went into doing this because I think the future is significant. And you tie in one thing we haven't talked about is the ability to manage your loads according to what your generation is, to shift loads. And it's the whole reason why on the PUCs asked the utility to put in place time of use rates, because we want to incent people to move to where the generation costs are cheaper, right? So right now with levelized costs, people aren't aware of the money they're spending for the loads that they're consuming. So in a microgrid,
more sensitive.
That's right. Hey, it's going to cost me more to generate, to consume power outside of the solar day in a microgrid. It's going to cost me more to consume power in the evening peak. Mm-hmm. So I can make economic decisions that reflect actual costs. And so that is what's going to transform our systems.
Economic decisions, 15 minutes at a time.
Right. That's right.
Ray, what do you want to pursue on this?
Well, I'd like to know what is if anything, is standing in the way of you guys having microgrids everywhere? What is it? Is it money? Is it the technology breakthrough? Or is it something that we haven't talked about? What is keeping it from happening? Why do I not have one in my neighborhood?
Well, I
You
think
want
it's
me-
happening. Your neighborhood has solar on it, so you've got solar in the grid, not quite there with the microgrid, but the moment you add energy storage to your residence or your office building, you just created a microgrid for that facility. So I think it's rolling out. There is a cost to it. Battery energy storage is not inexpensive, but it can make economic sense over the long run because as you guys were talking, you can shift loads, store energy when it's cheap to store it, and release it when the grid costs are high, just to level out your overall bill at your house or your business.
What do you think, Mark?
I think that I agree with Lisa. That's a great long-term vision of where we're headed. I think in the short run, there's going to be applications where the cost of storage, it can be justified from the benefits that you get out of it. And so, those are an increasing number of cases. The military is just an obvious case. So it's, that was a big part of the kind of energy storage day at the White House a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot of announcements from Department of Navy and Air Force. So anyways, that's the low-hanging fruit. Everybody on these bases they've got a diesel generator per building. There's a lot of efficiencies to be had by going to a microgrid at the base level, and that's occurring. Each of the branches has announced their deployments of microgrids. Kind of what their roadmap is.
Why, Mark? Why are you interested in Hawaii? Coming to Hawaii and doing business here? These are the same. Does Hawaii offer some special opportunity for you?
Okay, so Amber Kinetics is an energy accelerator portfolio company, and we appreciate the support we've gotten from the energy accelerator, and also the Office of Naval Research as the kind of financial backer of the accelerator when we were awarded that. And there's Hawaii, because of the cost of fossil energy being produced, the fact that it's an island, there's not like other states next door that you can interconnect with. And so if you're going for 100% renewables, you've got other states to balance things out. Hawaii's an island, has a target of 100% renewables. And to me, that means there's got to be large demands for storage and microgrids to make that happen.
Lisa?
Yeah, likewise for Go Electric, we're also one of the cohorts with the Energy Accelerator. Our LinkDR system is an integrated battery energy storage with our patented microgrid controller, and it actually helps accelerate a renewable energy future. It helps renewable energy work better at a building, work better on the grid, stabilizes everything. And Hawaii, quite frankly, is the most progressive in the country with where you're at with renewable energy currently on the grid, and you have the most aggressive goals too going forward to be 100% renewable by 2045. So it's the place to be with a product and a company like Go Electric.
Ted, you're a local company, and I just wonder, we went to Verge last week, and we saw about half the people at Verge were from somewhere else other than Hawaii, and I think more than half the speakers were from somewhere else other than Hawaii. And so what you have is a lot of people like Lisa and Mark and their companies are interested in being here, in coming here, and effectively participating in our effort, our technological effort moving forward. How does this work in terms of entrepreneurs who are completely local, companies that are completely local? How do you feel about it, and how will it affect your growth and development?
Well, Holu sees companies like Go Electric and Amber Kinetics as co-opetition. So
Co-opetition.
Right.
I think I have my answer.
I think looking for opportunities to partner on projects. We're in the market. We haven't been able to Yeah, we're just in the market. Our project in Salt Lake, we sold at market rates. And so we're looking forward to getting that kicked off and getting that. We've got I think some exciting things that are come out here in the next couple of months.
Will you come and tell us about it?
Yeah.
And Lisa and Mark, when you come to Hawaii next time, can we talk to you? Can we get you in the studio and show you the high tech of ThinkTech?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
Love to
and
be
Jay,
there.
I just wanted to point out, Go Electric actually has already established an office in Honolulu, and we have hired our first employee who is a native to Oahu. So we are building a team on Oahu to help Hawaii. So we're not just coming out of Indiana to get things done. We're actually getting things done with folks right in Hawaii, and that's very important to us
That's great. Thank
to
you.
be a part of the Hawaii.
Okay, Ray, it's time for you to either ask a question or summarize everything we've heard.
Summarize everything. Well, I did ask, what's the obstacles what are the obstacles out there? We didn't have time to talk about a whole lot. I heard you say time of use rates. That would help.
It would help.
It would
Yeah.
help.
I
It
want to
would help
call the lack of it
motivate.
an obstacle, but it
Okay.
would definitely help.
But
Finding the value streams that you can monetize,
okay.
and that's not simple.
Okay, all right. But there is a need for this out there, and you guys are tapping into the places that actually need it more than others, and that will be the starting point, I guess. So I'd still would like to hear more as we go along. Maybe you can come back and talk to us a little bit about things that need to be moved or made a little bit easier for you guys to come in here and actually move out of the experimental areas where you're doing things for the first time, say on a military installation, but make it more generic for everyone. So we'll have to have them back.
You'll have to have all of you guys back. We want to follow this. So that's Ray Starling, co-host, excellent co-host, and a friend of ThinkTech for sure. And Ted Peck, we'd love to see you, Ted. Thank you. Hope you come back soon. And Lisa Laughner of Go Electric and Mark Stout of Amber Kinetics, thank you so much for appearing on ThinkTech. We look forward to talking with you in person when you're here next time.
Thank you, Jay.
Aloha, all you guys.
Aloha.
Think clean energy here on ThinkTech in Hawaii.